guys, welcome back to my page. Thank you so much for being here today. If you are new, my name is Sarah. I'm a Christian life coach and content creator. And if you're not new, then welcome back. Thank you so much for your support. I decided that I want to film in my car today. It's a Saturday, and funny enough, or strangely enough, there's like professional maintenance lawn mowers and such happening right beside my car. Just ignore that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here today. I am going to do another Q&A, but this Q&A, so normally recently what I've been doing is answering advice questions, which I really enjoy doing. So if you have any advice questions that you would like to ask, then you can submit them below, or if it is something too personal that you don't want to even have your name on, you can actually email it to me at sarah@nowbloom.life. I'll put it below, and that's just for anyone to submit their advice question. So it might be like a long story of like this happened da 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 da, and then anonymously I will read the question. And yeah, so if you want, you can do that, because I really have been enjoying answering advice questions, but they have been more so like a one-liner, like the one I did last time about waiting for marriage and things like that. But I would actually really like to like unpack and break down a longer advice question. So yeah, thank you guys for being here. The questions I'm going to answer for today, I'm going to answer 4, and they are all personal questions, but I believe that anyone can get wisdom from this. I would say what Jesus is teaching me right now, pertaining to motherhood, is presence, being present, and having patience, and compartmentalizing things. So everyone is going to have their area that they struggle with more in motherhood, but at the end of the day, a lot of it is disciplining our flesh and dying to ourselves and dying to our selfish tendencies, which we have, and I have a lot of those. What I would say is that as someone who is a business owner and works from home and has the ability to work on my phone, it can be very easy to take my work into everything that I do. When I'm feeding Gabriel a bottle and I'm just sitting there, it's very easy to open my phone and start dictating and answering a work email while I'm feeding him. And I find myself getting really frustrated when I do that. So I think that's a tip for mothers just in general, that when you try to multitask with your kids, I know sometimes you have to multitask, but certain things that really require your attention with multitasking, you can find yourself getting overstimulated and frustrated. So that's what I find. And I also feel like my work just kind of carries out throughout the whole entire day when it comes to my business, and then I'm not present with Gabriel. So I was actually asking the Lord the other day, what should I do to be less overwhelmed? And I felt that he showed me that that's what I am doing, and to compartmentalize my work. Don't open work emails in the morning when I'm doing his morning feed. It's very hard not to do that, because when you see an urgent email, you're like, I have to get back to this. And using that time later on in the day, like, okay, I'm going to take a break from 11 until 1 2-hour time slot. Well, Adam takes care of Gabriel, and then I can get my work done. So compartmentalizing, just being present with him, and also realizing that he's not going to be this size forever. Like, because of what I've been going through with my recovery with the fatigue, there are certain points, certain like sore spots. For example, my back is really, really sore, and when I have the fatigue, it is exaggerated, where if I stand for just more than a couple minutes, my like mid back is in a lot of pain. So when I'm trying to rock him to sleep and I'm feeling the fatigue and my back is really sore, it's easy for me to just be like, oh my gosh, I just want him to go to sleep. Like, can't wait until he falls asleep so I can put him down so I can go sit down on the couch. Or I'm just so tired, and I am just trying to, I don't do this every time, but oftentimes, a few times, I'll remember like I'm holding him and I'm holding his small little body, and I'm like, he's going to be a man one day, and even one day soon, I'm not going to be rocking him to sleep anymore and being able to hold him in that way while he sleeps in my arms. So I just try to remember that, like, I'm going to look back 20 years from now and I'm going to be like, oh, I remember when I would rock Gabriel to sleep, and I just want to be able to be present in those moments. So then maybe how that relates to faith, I would say, is being present with God and not multitasking with him when it comes to, maybe it's something physical but also mental, when we're praying or when we're trying to spend time with God, but we're thinking of a million other things. So being grounded and present with the Lord. I'm reading a devotional right now called Don't Burn Out, Burn Bright. And in it, it was talking about it's talking about an emphasis on rest and prioritizing your rig time, which is resting God. So it's basically like taking 10 minutes out of the day to just sit there and be like, okay, Lord, you have my full attention. I'm just going to be present with you. My family is my first priority, so my work is not. And I think when I start to feel aggravated that like my work is being interrupted from my family, then that is a problem. And I have to keep reminding myself my work is not my priority. And it's very easy to focus on work as a priority, especially when it is also your income, because you're like, well, I have to get this done. I have to get this out there. I have to answer this email because this is how money comes in. Obviously not the only way, because both Adam and I work. But yeah, I think it's just important. So just kind of remembering like where your priorities lie. I think that's really important. So I'm actually going to do an entire video on this because I feel like I've learned so much about adrenal fatigue, chronic fatigue. I also feel like I've learned a lot about health in general. So I'm going to do a whole video on this. I don't know if I should wait until I have my full recovery just so that it can be well rounded and I can be like, okay, when I was fully recovered, this is how I got back into things. So whether or not you're struggling with physical fatigue, this could still be something that could help you, because I do think that most of us in today's society and world are probably struggling with burnout to some degree. So I actually think that these things should be implemented whether or not you're struggling with physical fatigue. So the first thing that I would say is you want to get to the root cause of why you're struggling with physical fatigue. So I see a functional medicine doctor, and we ran like a full panel of blood test panel, and then I also paid separately for a blood test called Nutristat. I did the Nutristat basic. It is a little bit expensive, but at the end of the day it shows things that you're not going to just get from your regular doctor. So you just want to rule out anything that could additionally be causing the fatigue, because you can do all of these other steps, but if you have like an infection or an intolerance or an allergy or a thyroid issue, or so many low iron, all these different things, then you're still not addressing the actual problem that could be causing your body to be extra fatigued. So that would be the first thing that I would say. Regardless, even if I wasn't going through this, I think it's really important to just see what's going on from like a more natural perspective as well. And it's definitely made me even more passionate about health since this. The other thing that I would say with struggling with chronic fatigue is completely eliminating caffeine completely, no questions asked, especially if you actually are specifically struggling with adrenal fatigue, cutting out caffeine altogether, because every time you have caffeine, it is like you're punching your adrenal glands. So I have had to completely cut it out altogether. Sometimes I could have like a decaf latte, but as of right now, that's what I'm doing. I've even cut out green tea for now as well, and like yerba mate, if that's how you say it. I've even cut that out as well, so absolutely no caffeine. You also really have to watch your screen time. Apparently, I haven't researched this, but I was told that apparently while you are looking at a screen, you can't pass an adrenal test. Like your body is under stress while you are looking at a screen. And so I try to keep that in mind, and then, that helps me to turn off the screen. I also wear sunglasses when I watch any sort of movie or things like that. I watch sunglasses just from the brightness. I've also turned my phone and my computer into black and white as well, so that the colors aren't like as stimulating. And I also keep them in like a warm tone as well, and turn the brightness all the way down. I've also incorporated a low glycemic diet as well. So you can just research that, but basically it's like I'm only doing I'll do like sourdough bread, but I'll do basically just ancient grains. I'm not having any dairy right now. I'm not having any sugar, definitely not refined sugar. Switch switched potatoes to like sweet potatoes and different root vegetables and things like that. But basically low glycemic diet, because I believe it's when your blood sugar gets spiked, or glucose or something like that, maybe blood sugar, it's hard on your adrenal glands. Sorry if I don't have the exact phrase correct, but I know that it's hard on your adrenal glands when you eat certain foods that do that. So low glycemic index diet. Also eating smaller meals more frequently. Also taking an adaptogen. There is a specific adaptogen blend that I take, which is called Cortisol Manager. It is a little bit expensive, but if you look at the ingredients in it, it has multiple different adaptogens. So instead of being like, oh, I'm going to take ashwagandha and rhodiola and all these different things, it's like blended into one. The other thing that I would say is embracing the tiredness. I know that sounds strange, but of course you're working on the root cause of trying to figure out what is making you so tired. But if you know that it's your adrenal glands, for me personally, I know that it's my body, and probably other people as well, body's coming out of fight or flight. And when you come out of fight or flight, you can be really exhausted. But if I'm feeling really exhausted, I'm like, at least my body is resting and at least it feels safe now. And so I'm going to allow it to feel safe, as opposed to trying to chug espresso to wake myself up, because that's not helping. Your body is trying to rest. So taking magnesium at nighttime as well. And throughout the day, I will drink like stress soother tea by traditional medicinals. And I will drink like lavender chamomile tea throughout the day as well. And I've also been taking lavender essential oil, and putting some at the bottom of my feet and putting it on my temples and like my shoulders and stuff like that during the day, to just like keep myself relaxed. Really prioritizing sleep, but specifically going to bed at around 10 p.m. I find that really, really helps. If it's past 11, I know that there's this crucial time between 10 to 2, which is like crucial for your sleep. So going to bed at around 10, and then my body naturally wakes me up at around 6:30. Really putting boundaries up with socializing, with work, and prioritizing rest is extremely important. Again, I can do a whole video on this, which I will do. I am also on a low dose of medication, but that's in extreme cases when you have really deep into adrenal fatigue. So I'm on a very low dose of medication, which honestly is helping me to just function. Like if I wasn't on that, I think I would still be laying in bed, which I still do most of the day, but it's just been a long process recovering, and I'm doing all of the things, all the right things, but I believe that the Lord is going to get the glory for healing me, and I'm just trying to be patient with that. Other thing I would also say too is try to see where the stress is coming from. I personally find that aside from just lifestyle, a lot of adrenal fatigue comes from trauma, comes from inner healing that we need, basically. So I can say so much more on this topic, and I'm actually really passionate about it, and I'm really passionate about all of the new things that I've learned about health, but I will save that for another video. But yeah, I would say like, please put up boundaries. Please let your body just rest. And even if you feel like you're missing out on things, not having caffeine, like just allow yourself to rest. It's really important. I got into this situation that I'm in because of lifestyle choices, of burning myself out to nothing, also from trauma that I experienced, and also from ongoing stress from things of the past that I didn't even realize that I was basically living in fight or flight mode all of the time. So that's how I got here. Also, I don't think this person is going to watch this, but I think there were some people that didn't really know what was going on with me and my health and what happened. And there's actually at least, I think, 1 or 2 comments where somebody commented and basically said like, it's your fault because you obviously got some sort of like vaccine and that's why this happened. I just wanted to say that I haven't gotten any sort of jab for anything. I don't even remember the last time. Okay, so I'm just going to say that because I know that a lot of people, when people are getting sick or having autoimmune things, that's what they're saying. But in my case, that is not what happened. Is a really good question. And I think that if there's people listening on here that you are coming back to faith or new to faith, then hopefully this could be helpful. I would say that my resources changed a lot. Mostly personally, what I was doing is I was just watching a lot of sermons and listening to podcasts and teachings and just spending time with the Lord, reading the Bible. But if I were to go back, or if there could be something that would have helped me more, I would say I did not really get plugged into a church properly. I got plugged in, but like I didn't socialize with anyone. I literally went in and left. Like I didn't socialize with anybody, and I should have gotten into community. So finding a good Holy Spirit filled church, joining if they have small groups and things like that, and just like immersing yourself into the community. Also remembering that people are not perfect and people are not God. So if people are weird or disappointing or things like that, that's also okay. We're still called to love them, but just don't let that deter you away from your relationship with God. I would say having a Bible reading plan. The ones that I've personally gone through have been called Through the Word and the Bible Recap, and they both have options for like podcast with it. I found that to be extremely helpful because a lot of times now even I read the Bible and I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. But when you listen to the recap of it, it explains it to you and gives you a new perspective, and it just allows you to feel more confident in reading the Bible. So definitely that. A book that I have not read, but I have heard from friends who have come to the Lord is Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. I heard that is a really, really great book if you are just starting off like with your faith journey. I've also heard, which I did read this book, Purpose Driven Life. I feel like Purpose Driven Life is also one of those books that you could start off with. I honestly read it like a year and a half ago and I really liked it. And if there's maybe your church is running like an alpha program or something like that, alpha group, that could also be extremely helpful. And then listening to sermons and podcasts and YouTube videos. But I would also ask the Lord to lead you to what videos to listen to, because there can be an overconsumption and it might not be like the quality or the things that the Lord wants you to listen to. Okay, and just before I answer the last video, I'm just going to do a quick plug in here because I have my company Now Bloom that I'm running, so I just wanted to quickly let you guys know that if you're interested in becoming a Christian life coach, enrollment is now open for the September 2024 semester, and this program is run a couple of times a year. So if you're interested in joining, I will put the link up here. And then we're also running another program through Coach Misha, and this is an inner healing program, and I can also put the link up here, and that one is open to begin enrollment. So in short, no. In short, I was not afraid at all. I was not scared at all of meeting him and then getting married like so soon after. For those of you who don't know, Adam and I met like online in July of 2020. We met in person in August of 2020, and then we got married in October of 2020. So that was all within 3 months. I was not scared at all. That one could be part of my personality, because I feel like when it comes to like big decisions, I feel like the Lord has given me the gift of faith. And so when it comes to big decisions, I generally don't have fear. I don't really worry about it. I'm just excited. When it comes to small decisions and like the everyday things, I worry a lot about small things that are not important. Like honestly, all the mundane things I stress about, and then the huge decisions I can just jump into and I have no problem with it. I do think the Lord has given me the gift of faith. What I would say is that I do not recommend for everybody to get married as quickly as I did unless it is clearly from the Lord. So I don't recommend people doing that. It's only if the Lord has put you on that fast track in that way. Not everyone's relationship is that quick. What I would say is probably also the reason I did not have fear regarding this is because I didn't just only go off of what I was sensing. I allowed trusted people who I knew for a fact heard from the Holy Spirit to speak into my life and to influence my life. It's very interesting because when I met Adam, at that time, there were people in my life that suddenly just got cut out of my life. Like I didn't cut them out. I didn't choose to. They just like disappeared. They eventually circled back, but I felt that the Lord did not want me to have the influence from close friends speaking into my relationship with Adam, because it would have brought confusion. The only person that I felt to share it with was my dad, and My dad is similar to me in that way with like big faith and discernment. My mom has big faith too, but obviously with moms, it can be like you can get your emotions in the way and feeling like, oh, like, fear can come in. But then again, dads can be that way too. I guess it just depends on the parent's personality. But I just felt that I was supposed to tell my dad. So I shared with my dad. He was on the same page as me. He discerned the same thing as me. And then lastly, I have my spiritual director who speaks into my life, and she is extremely prophetic and definitely hears from the Holy Spirit. Even when I first met Adam, I was like, I'm not gonna go to her right away because I feel like I would be using her as like a prophecy machine. Like I would be like, instead of me trying to seek the Lord myself first, I'd be trying to get an answer by being like, well, what do you think the Lord's saying? And I just knew that that wasn't right. And still to this day, I don't do that. But I said, and I do regular appointments with her, but I said that when she reaches out to me to do an appointment, then I will let her know. And I think it was like 2 months later, which is longer than usual, she reached out to do an appointment with me. But before that, like 2 days before that, I had already 100% gotten the confirmation that this was my husband. And then when I told her about him, she had like a vision for me of these gold rose petals falling from the sky. And she had so much joy, and it was just a further confirmation that this was the right decision and this was the person God had for me and has for me. So my advice would be, don't just go off of only your own discernment. If you have someone in your life that you trust, that also has that discernment as well, hears from the Lord, let them in on this. You don't want to, just be thinking it's from the Lord, but you're going off of your feelings, and then you end up just marrying someone that it's not even from the Lord. Then what I will add to that is that probably months into our marriage, Adam and I, when things start coming out, obviously as they do, because when you live with someone, you're going to start seeing the parts of them that are not perfect. In those types of situations, I was like, I never doubted that it was from God, ever. Never doubted it was from God. But I did get hit with that, like, whoa, I actually don't know this person. And it wasn't fear of like, oh, I shouldn't have gotten married to them. I've always known it was from God, no matter what, even when it's really hard. But I did have that kind of like, not revelation, but just like reality check of like, you actually don't know this person yet. And again, that's not for everybody to get to know someone after you've married them, but that was how the Lord did it for us. And to be honest, I think I know that was the Lord's way of doing it and the best way of doing it, because in my past, what I had done, at least with a previous relationship, what I had done is I would be dating someone, and then a year into the relationship, when things would start coming up, again, not that there was necessarily something wrong with this person, we all have our things, my stuff would come up too, then I would have this like feeling of like, oh, this person is not for me, I don't want to deal with this, so I'm going to end the relationship and back out of it. And so, yeah, I think the Lord knew that if I had that opportunity when I'm dating someone and I see things arising, then I will start questioning it and say like, and of course red flags are valid, but when you see someone, your spouse, struggling with something, and then you're thinking like, or not spouse, boyfriend struggling with something, and then feeling like, oh, I don't know, like maybe we shouldn't be together, maybe they need to sort this out first. So I felt like the Lord knew that could be like my tendency. Whereas like when you're married, it's like, that's what marriage is. There's going to be things that come up 100%, and it's going to come up multiple times, and you're going to work through it together, and you can get professional help with it. But marriage is not about just giving up on it, again, unless the person is abusing you or doing, different things like that. Aside from that, you are committed. I'm committed. Like I am committed, and that's it. Like I'm committed. I made a commitment. Adam feels the same way. We do have a great marriage, actually, but no matter what, no matter how hard it gets, we are committed to one another. We're married. That's it. There's no option. We're not opting out. And I think that's all I have to say for today. So thank you guys so much for watching this Q&A. Probably I will continue to answer. I can answer some personal questions as well if I feel that there is like relevance to helping you guys. So if you have any questions, whether it be a personal question or if it be an advice question, which I really like answering, and again, you can email me your advice question, which is sarah@nowbloom.life. Thank you guys so much. I look forward to hopefully seeing you in the next semester of Nab Bloom Academy or in Misha's course, and I will see you guys next time.